Hello, Avengers. This is Coach Shafto. Today we are working on the Carnegie book M3, page 105 to page 106. This is the review for the assignments that we did on writing equivalent expressions as well as inequalities. In this assignment, you need to complete all the questions. And if you have questions about other assignments, you can find them on Google Classroom. The first part of the assignment says to complete each statement with the correct term. Page number M387, you can see some of the terms that you will use during this section. The first one says the blank states that if two values A and B are equal, then when you multiply each by the same value, the products are equal. And so this is called the multiplication property of equality. The next one, number 2, a blank to an equation is any value of a variable that makes the equation true. This is a solution. And that's what it's like the answer that makes the equation true. Question 3 says the blank says that when both sides of an equation look exactly the same, their values must be equal. This is the equal sign. 4 says that an equation is a mathematical sentence created by writing two expressions with an equal sign between them. And then number 5 says the blank is a set of all points on a number line that make the inequality true. And this is the solution set. We have just some reminders. The addition property states that if you add the same thing on both sides of an equation, you end up with the same values on both sides. The subtraction says if you subtract the same thing on both sides, it will still be equal. The multiplication property says that if you multiply the same thing on both sides, it will still be equal. And the division property says if you divide on both sides, it will still be equal. We get down here with some practice, and it says indicate whether each equation has one solution, no solution, or an infinite number of solutions. And then explain your reasoning. The equation has one solution, figure out what it is for the set of values given. So number 1, if we look at it, think through, we've got x and x, which those are the same. And then you've got a -3 and then a +3. So we're starting with the same number and then moving in different directions. So this has no solution. There's nothing that we can put there that's going to make this be equal. The next one says 81 is equal to 9 multiplied by some number x. And so this is going to be 9 times 9. So x equals 9. Number 5 says some number divided by 3 is equal to 21. So we can solve this by doing the reverse. Instead of dividing by 3, let's multiply on the other side. 21 times 3 is going to be 63. And if we use a calculator, we see that 63 divided by 3 is equal to 21. Next one, I have 8 plus x, and then I have x plus 8. So those are moved around using what's called the commutative property, where we just move stuff around, and these are equal. So this is infinite solutions because they're basically the exact same problem. Here I have 4 times some number is equal to 20. And so in this case, this is going to be 4 times 5 equals 20. So x equals 5. Next one says x plus 17 is equal to 55. So if we think, okay, some number plus 17, if you remember from elementary school, the opposite of adding is subtracting. So we can say 55 minus 17. 55 minus 10 is 45. And then 45 minus 17 is going to be 38. So x equals 38. If I check it using showing my work, I can substitute. I have 38 plus 17, which is equal to 55. Next one is 1 times x equals x. Well, 1 times anything is the same thing. So this is infinite. Because if I put anything in there, I'm going to get the same thing. And the last one is 99 equals some number minus 1. Well, this is clear. X is 100 because 100 minus 1 is equal to 99. $1.99. On the next page, it gives you a stretch, model each equality or inequality situation, then determine each solution. It says Najid is taller than Emily, but also shorter than Daniel. So I would write something like for number 1, I would say Najid is taller than Emily, and then Najid is shorter than Daniel. So if I'm putting them in order, I would have Najid, who's taller than Emily. This will be 0. And Najid, but Najid is shorter than Daniel. So it would look like this. And then it says, who is the tallest? Well, in this case, we can see over here that Daniel is going to be the tallest. The next one says, Sophie is now older than Jasmine was 6 years ago. Sophie is as old as Jasmine was 6 years ago. So Sophie is equal to Jasmine's age minus 6 because it was 6 years ago. So who's older? Well, in this case, Jasmine minus 6 equals Sophie. So let's pretend Sophie was 10. Well, 16 minus 6 makes 10. So Jasmine is going to be older. Specifically, she's 6 years older. Next one, it has some review. It says define variables and then write an expression. So Miguel has 3 times as many books as Jose. So Miguel equals 3 times Jose's books. Next one, B, Rosa has 5 fewer bracelets than Maria. So Rosa, R, has equals 5 fewer. So that's going to mean I've got a minus 5, but fewer than what? It's going to be fewer than Maria. So Rosa is equal to Maria minus 5. This should be a lowercase m. Just as a quick reminder, when we're doing variables, we generally use lowercase m's. Next question says, for each situation, examine and give expression and solution strategies. So if we read it, Darian's band made $500 on one night. They had to subtract the cost of $80 and then divide the remaining money by the band members. If there are 4 members in the band, which expression correctly shows? So the one that is going to be the answer is going to be B. And the reason it's going to be B is because it initially says they had to subtract the cost of 80 and then divide. So we make $500 first, then we subtract, then after that happens, we divide. Well, if you look at expression A, if we're just doing expression A, then we would actually divide first, because in order of operations, multiple division comes before subtraction. But this says that we need to subtract first, so we have to put parentheses around it. Question 3 says Darian's band hires a manager. The manager asks the local park if they can hold a concert on one of the lawn areas. The lawn can have 20 rows of seats with 20 chairs each in each row. The band charges $25 for each seat and costs for advertising, the rental of the chairs, and the management fees total $4,000. If the band is able to fill all of the seats, which solution shows the amount the band will make? Determine the error that was made in the incorrect solution. I'm essentially going to have my grid. And so once I have my grid, this is going to be 20, and it's going to be 20. So I'm not going to show the grid here, but I would basically have my lines 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, except there's a lot more of them. I'm going the other way. I don't have enough, but each of these squares would be a seat. And so this is 20 times 20 is the number of seats. But then that seats gets multiplied times 25 because that's how much it costs for one seat. So the solution that we need to see is like we've got 20 to the power of 2 times 25. And then at the end, they subtract $4,000. So both of these have the same expression. But when we look at solution A, the first thing we do, remember, is parentheses. There's not anything there. But then we do exponents, which is what they did right here. And so right here, they actually multiplied 25 times 20 first, and that is wrong because they're going to end up with way too much money, which would be great, but That's not how the math works. So A, the mistake is right here because you do exponents before multiply. Finally, at the bottom, it says determine each unknown equation. This is equations, but it is also working with proportions. So if I had 5 over 6, which is equal to x over 30, if we remember, we can draw our arrows. 6 times 5 is 30, so I draw my arrow in the same direction. Therefore, I do the same thing. 5 times 5 is going to be 25. So for the first one, x equals 25. And I can check my work using a calculator. I'm going to take 6 divided by 5. Sorry, 5 divided by 6. 5 divided by 6. And I get 0.2. That's not right. Clear. 5 divided by 6. And I get 0.2. And then I'm going to take 25 divided by 30. And I get the same thing. Over here, I've got 90 over x, which is equal to 9 over 2. And I'm going to say, well, 9 times 10 is equal to 90. Therefore, I do my arrow. These arrows go in the same direction, so I do the same thing. 2 times 10 is going to be 20. So x equals 20. So I can check my work, and I'm going to do that by dividing 9 divided by 2, and I get 4.5, and I'm going to do 90 divided by 20, and I get 4.5. Those are the same, so I know that it's correct. Remember that you need to complete all the questions and that you can find other assignments on Google Classroom.